Australian team proudly marched into the MCG. For the opening ceremony of the 1956 Melbourne Olympics, there were soccer players in the ranks for the very first time. These 20 pioneers made up the first Australian soccer team at a major international tournament. Then they were unknown amateurs. Today it's time they were remembered. Ted Smith was a wide-eyed 21-year-old when he joined his fellow Olympians at the MCG on the 22nd of November 1956.
Oh, it'd have to be the biggest memory in the sense that whenever you talk about it, you can feel the hairs on the back of your neck rise up. It's something that you couldn't erase, you know.
While the memories live on for Ted Smith and his teammates, memorabilia of Australia's 1956 Olympic soccer team is harder to find. The Australian Gallery of Sport in Melbourne holds some of the precious history. The official record of the 1956 Games tells of political troubles in Europe and the Middle East that caused the late withdrawals of 5 nations from the Olympic soccer tournament. The boycott left only 11 countries to compete. Australia was drawn to play Japan in a knockout game at Olympic Park. This faded print is believed to be the only photographic record of the game. In our first Olympic match, Australia won 2-0. The hero was a skillful inside forward, Frank Loughran.
The actual team had played. I was the only non-Australian. I was the only one out. They were all Australians.
The Belfast-born Loughran still has the shirt he won that victory. He earned Australia a penalty against the Japanese when a defender handballed his goal-bound shot. Graham McMillan converted the spot kick, and Loughran scored the second himself after a solo run.
I came in from the wing, and nobody seemed to come to tackle me even. And when I realised I was rightly in the goal mouth, the goalkeeper come at me and I lifted it over his head right into the net. And that's how I can remember that, so, you know.
Loughran was Australia's highest capped player in the 1950s. He wore the green and gold a record 36 times. And while the Olympics gave Loughran his biggest thrill, he also has bitter memories. In the second round, effectively the quarter-finals, Australia played India and lost 4-2.
Everybody was disappointed. I was very disappointed because, and then again, I think we might have just taken India too lightly. But again, we should have beaten them really, because we were a far better side and what the Indians were, and there was no question about it.
Ted Smith, a speedy left winger, recalls that Australia's defenders were unnerved when some of the Indians played in bare feet.
During the game, several of the players got rid of their boots, and I really think that some of our defenders just didn't know what to do, because we were a British-style team who had a bit of endeavour, so I think our defenders were a bit lost, but we lost 4-2, and it was a bit of a travesty because we would have then got into a semi-final.
In those far-off days, the communist Eastern Europeans, who were effectively professionals, dominated Olympic soccer. The gold medal was a contest between the Soviet Union and Yugoslavia, while Bulgaria and India played off for the bronze. In front of 100,000 fans on the closing day of the Games, the Soviets beat Yugoslavia 1-0. In goal for the Soviet Union was the legendary Yev Yashin. Yugoslavia's star was Drago Šekolarac, who would later coach in Australia. The Bulgarians took the bronze medal, and as the Melbourne Olympics were over, so too was an era for Australian soccer. The pioneers of '56 have their memories, but not much recognition for their part in putting Australian soccer on the world stage.
I don't think many of the older players, in particular that team, have been acknowledged at all, basically. And it's something that should have been corrected years ago, and it's still not too late.
I always remember a chap saying to me, he was on the board of the Victorian Soccer Association, and he always said to me, when Australia has a good side, Frank, and it's going to come, remember you were a pioneer of all this when it eventually comes. And I'll never forget that.